Bringing a baby into the world is a joyful experience, at least for those with a Y chromosome who only have to observe it. But for the person who actually hosts this miraculous act of creation, it can be traumatic. Hormones flood the mysterious processes of the brain, tipping the equilibrium. For many women, the experience of childbirth is anything but joyful. Postpartum depression brings guilt, emotional turmoil, self-isolation. Our next guest brought together a network of survivors so that other young mothers would not have to go through this alone. Please welcome Eran Sudds.
In the summer of 2013, I had a very vivid, recurring daydream. I would get into my car, and I would roll down the windows, and I'd open the sunroof, and I'd turn the music up super loud, and I would sing my heart out along to it. And I would drive very fast and very, very far away from my house. Kind of sounds like a fun fantasy, right? But I was actually daydreaming about running away. I was daydreaming about escaping this. So I want to talk to you today about my story of connection. This is a picture of me with my son Henry when he was about 2 months old. So I'm obviously exhausted, sleep deprived, and to be honest, I'm actually second-guessing my decision to become a mother. What I didn't know at the time was that I was falling into the depths of postpartum depression. I didn't know because people didn't really talk about it that much. What I knew about postpartum depression was what I'd learned from the media, that mothers with postpartum depression usually wanted to hurt themselves or their babies. I didn't want to do either of those things. I just wanted to run away. So I didn't really know. A few months after this picture was taken, I was riding the ferry with my son, and we were both exhausted. Neither one of us had slept the night before. And he was screaming. He was screaming, and I was bouncing him up and down, and I was frantically trying to get him to stop screaming, and I was on the verge of bursting into tears myself. There was a woman that was sitting in the lounge on the ferry, and she kept trying to catch my eye, and I kept trying to avoid her because I didn't want to hear any more advice. I didn't want somebody to tell me yet again what I should be trying to do to get him to calm down. I just didn't want to hear it. I just wanted to run away. But she talked to me anyways. She asked me how old my son was, and when I answered 4 months, the dam burst. There I was, standing in the middle of the ferry lounge, bawling my eyes out with my screaming son strapped to my chest. And what she said to me next, I will never forget. She said, "You're doing a great job. You're a good mom." So if I wasn't crying before, I really was now. But it was because I felt this epic sense of relief. This woman didn't know who I was. She didn't know anything about me. She didn't know how exhausted or confused or angry that I felt. But she knew exactly what I needed to hear. So we kind of chatted briefly about how hard things were and how much sleep deprivation sucks. We connected about motherhood, and I sort of felt this little sense of normalcy. And then we parted ways, and I actually never got her name. But I needed that connection. I needed someone to listen to me. I needed someone to hear me. And she did that at that moment. From that point on, things actually didn't get better. They got quite a bit worse. I became really obsessive, compulsive, very anxious, very, very, very stressed out, and feeling very, very alone. I cried pretty much every day, usually more than once. And when I thought about that moment on the ferry, it felt like a dream. And even though I was surrounded by tons of family and friends who only wanted to help me, I didn't know what to say to them. When they asked me what they could do, I didn't have an answer. One morning, I found myself sitting with my computer on my lap and with my cell phone in my hand, trying to get up the courage to call the Pacific Postpartum Support Society helpline. When I finally called, a very lovely woman named Georgie answered the phone. I think she's actually here tonight. I was already crying when she picked up, but she knew right away just to be quiet and listen. So after I had poured my heart out to her, she told me that she heard me and that I wasn't alone in this anymore and that I was doing a good job. That I was doing a good job despite all the turmoil that I was feeling. She actually didn't offer any advice except to contact my family doctor, which I did. But with just that one simple phone call where she really listened and connected with me, I started to get back to normal and getting the help that I needed. So fast forward a few years, and this past Mother's Day, I wanted to do something to celebrate how far I've come and how far some of the other mothers I know have come. I'm a photographer, and I really believe in the power of a visual message. So I held a fundraiser where we took photos of mothers with their children holding up signs with encouraging messages for other mothers. All proceeds were donated to the Pacific Postpartum Support Society, and I called it the Good Mother Project. What surprised me about the Good Mother Project was the incredible way that word spread and how the project's message really, really hit home. Women started to talk to me about their own experience with postpartum depression and just motherhood in general. So we added a blog to the Good Mother Project website so that they could share their stories too. And the photo series was actually picked up by major media outlets and parenting websites all over the world. And now we receive dozens of story submissions for our blog each month from moms who want to connect and share with other mothers. So what started out as a very simple fundraiser to celebrate moms has actually snowballed into this really beautiful community of mothers who just want to share their stories and connect. That's our website. And it all started with one woman on the ferry. That one moment that stuck with me, where she encouraged me instead of judging me, even though I was so obviously struggling. So, my son is now almost 3 years old, and he's a really cool kid. He's very curious and talkative, and he loves trains. And we like to go on Mommy and Son dates. This is us on the SkyTrain. I really enjoy being his mother now, but it took a long time to get here, and a lot of love and support from a lot of amazing people. They say it takes a village to raise a child, but I believe it also takes a village to raise a mother. And in fact, I believe it takes a village to raise each one of us every day. Because none of us are perfect, but each one of us is good enough. And it only takes one moment to connect with someone and have an impact. So, thank you for allowing me to connect with you today.